everyone, I'm Caroline and welcome to my home on the hillside here in Wales, and it is week 4 of Christmas in July. I can't believe how quickly these weeks are going. This week there's a real treat. We've got another 10 Christmas crafts to get through, and so I don't want to hang about. Let's get straight over and start work on my desk. For this next craft, I'm going to use this little truck that I picked up in a thrift store. It's got some pegs and things that should have gone on there. I think there was originally a person in there, so it's not in the best of condition. But I'm going to turn this into a Christmas truck. So the first thing I wanted to do, I could leave it like this, but I want to put on some little sidebars. Now you may be lucky enough to find one of these in a thrift store that does look like a Christmas truck, so you will have less work to do. So I measured these to fit from the back of the cab to the end of the truck, but I don't want to put them close together. I want a little gap. I'm going to stick them together using these little dowels. So I'm now going to glue these onto the dowels that are already on the truck using hot glue. It's a bit open for a truck in the winter carrying Christmas trees, so I'm just going to put a little roof onto the top of the truck. If I show you, I cut this to size. I measured the length of the roof of the truck, and then with my sander I just went over the edges around the corner a little bit. It's given them a really nice finish. More hot glue, and on goes the roof. So now I'm going to measure the back to put a little bit of a tailgate on as well. I think that'll be cute. So this time I'm going to glue this onto the dowels that are actually attached to the back of the truck. That's better. Now I haven't measured perfectly here, so what I will do when the glue cools a little now, I'll get my sander and just rub the ends to get them a little bit more even. I usually use chalk paint, but I'm going to try going in with acrylic paint today on this truck. I'm going to mask over these bits of wood on the back now. I wasn't going to. I was going to paint them red, but I think they look nice stained as real wood. If you're going to do the same thing, then I would advise you really to put these on after you've painted. I've just made work for myself. So now to give the whole truck a couple of coats of acrylic paint. As you can see, something changed. I decided that I was fed up of trying to paint around this, so I took it off, as I should have done in the first place, painted the whole of the truck, so now the truck can go out of the way to dry. So now I'm going to use some brown acrylic paint, pop it onto the wood, and then using a wet wipe, just rub it in so that you can see the grain of the wood that way. It's much nicer than just painting it a solid brown, I think. I'll put that to one side to dry, and now we'll go back to the truck. Now I like the truck red, but I don't like the wheels red. I think they need to be black. This is a thicker tissue paper. I'm going to put it underneath the wheels to stop the black paint going anywhere else on the truck. And then I'm going to paint it black. Use a fresh piece of paper for each wheel, otherwise you will end up getting some black paint where you don't want it. Although the wheels are dry, there's still a little bit soft, the paint is, so I'm going to put it on some plastic so that it doesn't stick to my cutting mat. So now to add on the back of the wagon. I want to add some lights onto the front, so I've got these little circles of cardboard, but they're actually looking quite metallic. I'm going to pop those on to the front of the truck. got these little Christmas tree decorations, but they're a little bit big, so I'm going to take the trunk off the bottom of each. And I'm going to put them either side of the truck so that you can see that this is a truck that delivers Christmas trees. I've got these little Christmas trees that I got from Amazon. You can get them in packs of like 18. I'm going to pull the little wooden bit off the bottom. Don't throw those away, they do come in useful sometimes. Now these are a bit squashed. We'll fluff them up a bit. And then pop them in the back of the truck. And now just for a little bit of fun, I do love a bit of fun, I'm going to put a reindeer driving the truck. Just put some hot glue on the little leg sticking down. To brighten the truck up, I'm going to put a little snowflake there and one on the roof. Well, I think that's a brilliant bit of Christmas fun. Look at that. Let's see what this looks like up on the display. For this project, I'm going to make a blue themed wreath. I've got this fabric that somebody sent me, and look at that, it's like blue ice. I love it. So I decided I definitely wanted to use this in some way for my Christmas in July. And I figured out that the best way to use this would be to cut it into strips and make a wreath with it. Now, because it is quite sheer, I'll show you there, we do need to put a layer underneath of white. So for this, I'm going to use this piece of white cotton fabric I've got, about 10 centimetres wide, I think, and tear it. So now I'm just going to wrap this around the wreath. You haven't got to be too accurate because this isn't going to be seen, but it is going to stop the green stripes being seen. So keeping it nice and tight, wrap it all the way around your wreath form. That didn't take too long, so now we're going to put the blue on, but you'll need to be a little bit more careful with this. I always tend to wind to the right, and so on the left I always make sure there's a really nice clean fold so that you don't see any frayed edges, but you may want the frayed edge look. Completely up to you. I'm scrunching this up a little bit as I go because I think it looks nicer than having it flat. A huge thank you for all the lovely comments coming in over my Christmas videos. It is lovely to hear from you, and for all my new subscribers, thank you for subscribing. For everyone who's viewed my videos, I really do appreciate it, and thank you very much. I was at the car boot sale, which is like a yard sale, and somebody was selling a bag of bits and pieces for 50p. And this was in there. It was probably about 5 meters long. So I got lots of it. And I'm using it. I take it apart on these jump rings. You can see they're not very pretty jump rings, so not worth hanging on to really. So I just take them off the jump rings. And you've got a snowflake. Now you can buy snowflake decorations if you want to. I saw these and I thought, well, that'll save me buying any. In the ideal world, I would say, you need this many snowflakes, but when you're decorating a wreath, it can be, unless you're doing it for a commission for somebody, it's very personal. I tend to get a few things together that I like, and then I just play around with those until I get something that pleases me. Now, unfortunately, some of these have lost a lot of their glitter. So I'll put those as much as I can where you can't see the bits missing. If you've bought new ones, or you've got good quality second-hand ones, this won't be an issue for you. So now it's time to glue on the stars. Leaving a gap at the bottom to put a bow on, but you could carry this all the way around if you don't want a bow. I got these old pearls from some broken jewellery, so I'm going to add a little pearl centre to each snowflake. I think I'm going to put an extra pearl on wherever the snowflakes meet. Before I put my bow on, I'm going to put a hanger on Turn it back over. Now we need to make a bow for the bottom. So I'm going to use this lovely silver metallic ribbon for the bottom layer. So if I move my wreath up and I can see how long the wreath is, I want to go slightly bigger than I think I need for the wreath. And that way then I've got plenty to be taken up in the scrunching up bit in the middle. I'll show you what I mean. Now I'm going to use this, look at that. It's beautiful and shimmery just like this, quite iridescent. Make this one slightly shorter, not much. About an inch shorter, making sure you are over the halfway line. Make the next double loop piece of folded ribbon about an inch shorter than the layer underneath. Turn it over to hide those ends. And when you've got as many layers, if you want to do the same as me, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Fold in half. And then I like to do a little cut in. It saves having all that bulk when you're scrunching up your bow, but not too much. You don't want to cut all the way through and chop your ribbons in half. Take a pipe cleaner, go into the cut this side, into the cut this side, and give it a good tug and twist it round. Well, you know me and changing my mind. I've decided I don't like the dark blue, so it's coming out. Now I'm going to get this blue glittery ball, take the end off, chop the top bit that sticks out off, and glue that into the centre of the bow. As always, don't worry about these loops getting squashed and not looking right. We'll sort that out when we get to the final stage of displaying it. Now you can leave the bow like that, but I always like some tails. So here I've got some of the ribbons that we used for the bow, and I'm going to turn this into the tail. Now layer the other bits that you're going to use, and use a pipe cleaner to fix the tail to the other bits. Because I don't have very long white pipe cleaners, I have to put another piece around the tail. You can do this rather than buy the very long ones, or if you can't find the very long ones, and then put that around the bottom of your wreath. To get this nice and tight, I'm going to use a pliers. And now to keep the simplicity, again, I'm not going to dovetail, I'm just going to put an angle on the bottom of each piece of bow. And let's see what this looks like up on my display. This craft, I'm going to use this little dress form. I got this in the charity shop, which is like a thrift store for £1. And I thought, ooh, I could do something with that for Christmas. I got this from a charity shop too. I can't remember how much I paid. It wouldn't have been much. You know me, I never pay much. I've cut it into sections here, roughly the same size. It doesn't matter exactly because we're going to trim it. Because it's a garland, all the arms are facing different directions to fluff it up, but we want them all facing the same way for this skirt. Unless you want a fluffed up looking skirt, it's all again up to you what you do, but I'll just show you how I'm going to do it. I'm going to take this top branch off because it's just in the way, and get my pliers and put a bend in the end of this wire, like a hook. Don't know if you can see, it's like a hook shape. Here's the waist on the dress form, and I'm just going to take the hook and hook it over just below the waist, about there. So you can see, I think that's the centre. I'm going a little bit lower. So this is what I got, and now you decide on the length. I was going to make this quite a short length. I thought maybe I'll make a modern looking dress rather than a long ballroom dress, but I think I love it long. So I'm just going to trim the ends now, and I'm going to tie down about 3 or 4 inches just to hold everything in place, because if it moves about until you've actually tightened all the branches on, they can pop off. So So now it's time to deal with the bodice. I'm going to come around the back of the bodice part with this wired ribbon and then glue it into place with the edge level with the edge of the dress foam. And then glue the other side into place. Add some nice little tucks on the front and carry this ribbon right the way around to the back. And I'm going to put a little dot of glue, not on my finger, a little dot of glue on the ribbon to hold it in place so there aren't any gaps. Twist the back and then a little bit of glue to hold that in place. This is a bit fiddly. You'll probably need to push it and twist it until it's sitting where you want it to sit. Wind the ribbon around your hand to make a big loop. Make sure both ends are over halfway. Squash it up. Fix it nice and tight with a pipe cleaner and chop it off. And then glue a little spare piece of ribbon around the middle of the bow, just to neaten it up a little bit. For a bit of added glamour and to be absolutely sure that we're covering the top of the greenery, I'm going to, underneath where the bow tails come, glue this, sorry about the clattering, this little bit of gold ribbon, making sure it's nice and scrunched. Now for some serious floofing. If you like this way, with it all held tightly in like that, then you can put some green twine, or even you can get some lengths of some sort of Christmas branch, put it around to hold it tight. You'd have to work at hiding it because otherwise it's a bit obvious, but I don't want that. I want a floofy dress, so I'm going to cut it back off, flip out any branches that are a bit tight and are leaving a bit of a gap where you can see the dress form underneath, and then just neaten up the edges because some branches stick down far more than others. And then dovetail the ends of your hanging bow. So she's looking pretty gorgeous already, but I think we just need a little something around the top area. I trimmed some of the fluffy bits off the little branch or twig, one of the spare twigs, and I'm going to put this around the top of the neck area. A little bit of hot glue, almost like a choker on a person. And I'm going to glue a little pearl to the centre. Well, I was going to leave this classically plain, but I think it needs some lights. I've got another set of these wine bottle lights and I'm going to wrap these around the skirt, but I'm going to keep them slightly underneath so you don't see the wire. I'm going to glue the control up inside the hook of the leg. That looks very pretty. Let's have a look what it looks like up on the display. This project I'm going to use this gorgeous burlap with a green fleck in it, like a glitter. So I think it's absolutely beautiful. And I've got a mushroom tub. So I'm going to start by covering the outside of the mushroom tub with this burlap. This one is 5.5 inches wide. Now I've glued the front piece on flat. I'm going to glue just the top inch or so all the way around because this does have a slight taper, so we may need to adjust the bottom before we glue it into place. Now I'm going to cut the sewn end off this. They don't all have a sewn end and it'll just reduce the bulk down a little bit. Cut a line down the corner, not quite to the depth of the tub, slightly short, and then cut 2 triangles. So you've effectively taken one big triangle, but you know where you wanted the pointy bit to be. And then glue down your ends as if you're packing a parcel. Now you may notice that looks a right mess inside, but that's not a problem because we've got a plan to cover the inside. After trimming the burlap to just slightly longer than the sides, I now glue the top of the burlap to the top of the inside of the tub. As I'm doing this, my imagination is smelling oranges and cinnamon sticks, Christmas pudding, all those things we associate with Christmas. This is much more fiddly with burlap than it would be with the sheer fabric, so you may decide to go for the sheer fabric on the inside just to make it easier on yourself. And that is very important, because if you're not enjoying your craft, then what's the point? You've got to enjoy it. So you take whatever shortcuts you need or any alterations to make your crafting fun. Now we get one more piece of burlap, put my tub onto the sheet of burlap and draw around it. Cut this on the inside of the line because you want it slightly smaller than the size of the tub. And that finishes it off so much more neatly. Now go around the outside with some nautical rope, touching the lip of the plastic as tightly as you can. Don't forget to always glue the ends of your nautical rope closed when you cut them, because otherwise they keep unravelling. Then I'm going to put another row on top. You can use a thinner rope for this, but I think that using this thicker nautical rope really gives it a sense of weight and expense. It looks quite high end, whereas if you just put some thin rope, because it's on the plastic, it just feels a little bit flimsy. Now for our last run around. Because I'm such a messy crafter, I have to put one run of glue and one more line just around the join, because you can see where the end of the burlap comes. And now for the fun part, because I'm going to decorate the front of this with something Christmassy. Now there are several options you can use. You can get some Christmas baubles and put that sort of thing on. You can put some berries and just put a very simple berry display like that, which I think is terribly effective. And you could also use it when it wasn't Christmas. You can put some simple pine cones on, again keeping a very subtle theme. But I'm going to put something a little more Christmassy. So let's start gluing. I think I'll pop some berries in the other side too. Remember, always adapt your plans as you're going along. If you think you can improve on your craft, just go with it. Don't think, oh, I can't change my mind now. You can change your mind at any time. You can even take bits off and start again. I think I'm going to add these white berries to the bottom as well. Now, I think that is gorgeous, and you can use it now to store things in, to display things. You could use this as a little gift box that you could fill up with chocolatey treats for one of your friends for Christmas, or perhaps some gardening supplies or some needlework supplies, that sort of thing. You could display some of your favourite Christmas baubles. As you write in your Christmas cards, you can pop your Christmas cards in and then take them off to the post office when they're ready to be sent. You could even fill it with a big tub of potpourri in a Christmas scent. Let's have a look what that looks like. I've got some Christmas potpourri here. And what a wonderful way of displaying your potpourri. This smells absolutely delicious. Let's have a look what this looks like up on my display. This next craft really should be in a quick and easy Christmas decorations video, because it is so quick and easy. I've got this box and it's the back of a chocolate box. So the first thing we need to do is just cover it with a little piece of brown craft paper. So now this looks like a very nice frame. There are a few issues which we'll cover up. And the first thing we're going to do is to cover the back of it with this piece of tartan paper. It's easier to glue the box than it is to glue the paper. And that's coming along nicely. So I'm going to use my little black pen and colour in all the joins. Next I'm going to get this little bit of fur fabric and cut it to the size of the bottom of the frame inside. So this measures 1 inch. And now for a messy bit. I'm going to take the bottom off this Christmas tree. It is a 4 inch, perhaps 5 inch really, if you include this, 5 inch Christmas tree. And I'm going to cut the back off this Christmas tree, which is going to make a terrible mess. Using hot glue, glue the tree to the background. And glue a little bit of twig to the bottom of the tree like a trunk, trying not to get hot glue everywhere like I have. I've got this vintage Christmas decoration. It's a reindeer and it's got quite a movable head. Isn't that lovely? I want him looking upwards like that. And so I'm going to put a little blob of glue on the back. Put that into place there. Just hold him for a few seconds. I've decided to add 2 little trees the other side, so I'm bending the trunks down, clamping them in tight, because they're too small really for a trunk. Now what is this reindeer looking at? Well, I've got this. It's a ceramic Christmas hanging decoration, so I'm just going to cut the ribbon off. And then this is going to be glued up here like the moon, and it says wish. Now it's time to hide the hole. I've got this little bit of Christmas tree wreathing branch that I was using earlier on in a different project. So I'll decide how I want that to display. And I think I'll shorten the fluffy bits again, glue that into place and add some frosted berries. Now if you want to, you can put a little hanger on the back. As it's a box, you can't screw anything in, but you can just glue a little piece of ribbon on as a little loop. But I'm going to use this just to stand alone on top of my display because I think it looks lovely like that. So let's have a look what this looks like up on the display. Project, I'm going to use this glittery mesh. It isn't wired or anything. I'm going to use it as a very pretty Christmas fabric, and I'm going to put this fabric into the embroidery hoop. So you just unscrew the top until there's plenty of movement on it. Then you can take that out. The smallest hoop underneath the fabric, pop the largest one on, and then tighten it up and cut around the edge. That's looking pretty already. I'm going to make a hanger with the ribbon, so cut it to the length you want. And I'm going to tie a knot and move the knot right the way around to the screw end and glue it in place. I'm going to add this poinsettia to cover that up, but I'm not keen on these orangey stamens, so I'm going to chop them off and add some little red berries. There, much more festive. Pop a little bit of glue on the screw, poke this through, and then chop that extra bit of length off, like that, so it doesn't hold it away from the wall. And then it's a case of decorating it as much as you would like to decorate it. I'm going to add some more poinsettias. This ball, it's a holly ball, and I'm going to pull the picks off it. On the end you can see a thicker lump, so I'm going to take that off and then use this holly to fill up the display a little. If you're enjoying this video, then please could you give me a thumbs up? That would be great. I would really appreciate it. Thank you. And to finish off, I'm not sure if this is seasonally correct, but I'm going to put some of these beautiful dangly bits of foliage on. As a finishing touch, I'm going to put these little cherubs either side of the flower display, and then put some of these paler berries on too. Just fills out the bottom and makes it look more decorative. I think that's gorgeous. Let's have a look what it looks like up on the display. For this project, I'm going to use this star. I picked this up at a car boot sale. I paid, I think it was 50p, it wasn't a lot, and it's broken. If I show you in the back, I'm going to spoil the magic for you now if you've got one of these. Look how ugly this is inside. And these lights don't work, so they're a complete waste of time for me, so I'm going to take them out. Now we're left with this. This isn't pretty either, but you're not going to see the back. You're only going to see the front. Now as you can see, this is very, very badly scratched and marked. But I got this gilding polish. I love this gilding polish. That's all done. I love it. I don't want to get it all completely covered as if it is actually painted. I want that sort of worn look. It's almost like a magical Christmas look, isn't it? So now we're going to turn it over. And I got one of these. These are supposed to be lights that go in a bottle. You turn them on. But I think they'll be fine to use for this project. I'm going to glue the on-off switch to the inside of the star. Like that. So then I just glue them in, trying to space them roughly around the place. You may decide to put 2 sets in yours. I'm hoping to go for a subtle effect. It may be too subtle. I'm not sure yet. I can't tell because it's still light. I've tied this ribbon loop into a knot at the end, which I'm going to cover in hot glue. Push it up into the point of the star. That should hold it because there's not much weight in this at all. And I've got Merry Christmas, and it's not going to fit. Merry will fit, Christmas won't, or Christmas will fit, Merry won't. So I'm going to just put up Christmas. I'm going to cut this out and pop it on. Now I don't like this plastic effect around here. I think it spoils it a bit. So if I did this again, I would probably use a different thing. I didn't realise this plastic was going to be so obvious, but we won't worry about that now. I've got this Christmas decoration, so I'm going to bend all the arms up slightly, pop it on underneath Christmas. Oh yes, I like that. I do think we need a bow though. So now I'm gluing my bow onto the top of the star. Now this is not my finest bow in the world, and I could give you some technical reason why it isn't as good as some of the others you've seen. The truth is, I find bows very hit and miss. Sometimes they work wonderfully, sometimes they don't. This one didn't, but I'm sure he'll look a lot better when we fluffed him up properly on the display. And I've also put a little bit of ribbon all the way around the outside of this star because it was looking a little bit grim with all the scratches and marks on it. So I thought that just brightened it up a little bit. So let's have a look what this looks like up on my display. This craft, I got these. They're like a stacking block, and you may already be able to see where I'm going with these. I'm going to cover them up and make them look like Christmas gifts. I've got this gorgeous textured paper and it's very pliable. It's almost like a fabric. So I lay the box on centrally. I want to make sure that I've got enough on this end to well overlap when I pack it. I'm going to use my glue gun to make sure that this really sticks well. And now just push this paper inside. I cut this a bit long, so I'm going to trim some off. And that's one parcel done. Another 2 to go. So there we have 3 covered boxes now. If you can't get hold of these, you can use many sorts of blocks you can get from charity shops, thrift stores, and you can even use cardboard boxes if you wanted to. It's just these are nice and solid. Now all I need to do is decorate them. Always a fun bit. Now just make a pretty little bow to go on the top. Cut a piece of identical ribbon, or you could use a contrast, I suppose, if you wanted to. And this is going to go around the bow there. So we fluff this up just the way we want it. Pop it on and glue it around the back. And now glue it to the centre of the parcel. Oh, isn't that gorgeous? Look at the sparkle on that. So I've got some similar ribbons. I don't want to do them all identical. I'm going to do them similar. Now you just need to floof out your bows. And they're ready to go. For this craft, I've cut a semicircle of cardboard and I'm going to roll it up into a cone shape and then even off the bottom. Somebody had done their garden in this astroturf and didn't want the rest, so I had it and I thought, oh, that would cover a Christmas tree nicely. Cut it to a more manageable size because this is very heavy. Now, I've never used this before, so this could be interesting to see how easy it is or how difficult it is to get it to stick to the cone. I think we may use a lot of glue. Well, that was a marathon. It's a beautiful quality astroturf for your garden, but just very difficult to work with. So I wouldn't choose to work with this thick astroturf again. Now I've got these. I had them in a jar with a flower display in the top. I just emptied it, and as you can see, it was very messy. But I'm going to stick some of these pine cones all over my Christmas tree. So I've glued a nice selection of pine cones all over the tree. This is another one that's too tall really for me to show you properly. I glued onto the top here a little bit of this braid, I suppose you'd call it. And I'm just going to wind it around the tree. I want to put a star at the top of the tree. I bought a few of these in a charity shop in a big bundle of bits and pieces, but they've been painted, so I need to do something about this, and I'm thinking of using my gilding paste again. Oh no, that's interesting. It's bringing out a really pretty pattern that's actually on the wood and hiding most of the name. Oh yes, that's very nice. I'll do the other side. Oh, I like that. You can still see some of the red coming through. when the light catches it the right way. I think that looks absolutely superb. I do love this gilding paste. I think I'll put this little tartan bow on the top, that way then it'll hide the little hole, save me stopping to put some sparkle in, or some polyfiller, whatever you call it, in whichever country you live. I prefer the name sparkle, it sounds really exciting. And we call it polyfiller, which I think is very boring. And now I'm going to glue the star on top of the tree. Oh, I'll show you this again. I love this. I can't get over how something that looked quite boring and plain now suddenly looks wonderful. I think that's lovely. Now you can carry on adding things again if you want to. You stop embellishing when you think you've got your tree full, and you can keep going and going and going. If you wanted to, you could completely cover this with embellishments, little baubles, things like that. I'm liking this look. It's almost a Scandinavian look, isn't it? Right, let's have a look what this looks like up on my display. I used like a double-sided rolly tape, put it on the edges and put the ribbon on. Now it's not the neatest job in the world. I did touch up a few places with the glue gun, but I'm sure you'll do a much neater job than that. Now I'm going to stuff the base of the box. It doesn't matter what colour you use because it's going to be hidden. So I'm using my least favourite colour, which is the darker blue. And I've got here a piece of florist foam that I'm going to pop in the bottom there. Now I would glue this in place, but I have no luck with gluing this anywhere. It just decides to pop back off whatever you glue it to because it's quite sandy. So now we're going to start the fun part. So now I've gathered together all the bits and pieces that I got that I think may work. Obviously I'm not going to use them all, but I'm going to start by putting a focal point in, and I think I'm going to use this as a focal point. So I'm going to get one of my skewers and hot glue that to the skewer, and I've got these cute little faces. So I'm going to glue a few of those onto bits of skewer as well. I'm also going to take this little tree, take the wooden bottom off, and then glue it to another piece of wood. And just carry on doing this with all the bits and pieces you're going to use. If you want to use a Christmas bauble, take the bottom or the top off, which is now going to become the bottom, and then a little dab of hot glue on the end of your skewer. So poke it up through into the bauble right to the top, and then it'll glue on at the top. So cut your wire to size. It doesn't matter if it's too long, you can always snip it later, and then get a piece of ribbon you like. And I like this piece of red with a little bit of gold on, so I'm going to snip it about there, fold the gold edges in, and then poke the middle bit up. I'll show you that again. Fold the gold edges in, poke the middle bit up, otherwise you'll lose this gold edging around the back of the bow. Get your piece of wire, put it around. If you've got a thick wire like me, then use the pliers and twist it off. And there you've got yourself a pretty little bow, and you can, on some of them, you can dovetail the ends. I'm not going to on this one, but I will make a few more bows and I'll see how the mood takes me. But my Santa is going to go about there. Now I'm going to have to shorten him, I think. Oh no, he's fine. The plan is that eventually the weight of everything will hold this down a little firmer, because at the moment there's no pressure on it at all. On the other hand, if you know how you can fix that, please let me know, because I find terrible trouble trying to fix foam to the box. And now really it's down to you how you want to do this. There is my box exploding with Christmasness. I I love this, and I think it's great. You can use whatever theme you like, whatever colour theme you like. It's completely up to you. You could even do this for a birthday party or a baby shower, I suppose, only in a slightly different style. This is so easy to do. If you don't like it, just move things around, add bits on, and eventually it'll look just like you want. As you can see, I'm fiddling and fiddling until I get it exactly how I want it. So let's have a look what this looks like up on the display. If you've enjoyed watching these crafts, then over there I'll put a playlist to the other Christmas in July craft videos and see if you enjoy those too. Well, it's time to clean up. My studio is a disaster. There is glitter everywhere. It's in my hair, it's on my skin, it's in the carpet. If we had a dog, the dog would be covered in glitter too. I'll see you all next time, but until then, don't forget, have fun. Bye.